Welcome everybody, my name's Rebecca, my channel name is Hedgerow Stitching. Today is Tuesday, January the 13th, 2026. Today I have an update video for you where I'm going to share some stitching, I have some quilting and some knitting. So welcome aboard. I hope you're all doing well and having a good stitching time. So today I would like to share with you what I've been finishing. So my first bit of finishing was related to the Stacy Nash animal crackers. I have finished the latest one that I was doing. And this was the Jackrabbit. And I finished mine on 40 count maple bar by Cedar River linen. That's my finish there. I do have a little black ribbon which I'm going to put on there when I finish him completely. So that's my first one, which will go in my basket. And then Whittaker comes with a little tree accessory, and I finished mine on a little piece of round cardboard. I'm going to punch a hole here. And what I've done, I haven't quite finished it, I need to glue on the rickrack. I put a little bit of checker on the back, and I used a mini rickrack in the colourway Bird's Nest from Lady Dot Creates. And then I'm going to put a tassel on the top here and a tassel through the cardboard here so it hangs down by his side. So that will be Whittaker's little tree. So that will go in my nest of goodies. And the other finish I had was, I showed you in my last video, my sewing bag. This comes from my sampler of Anne Swatridge, who was born in Upway in Dorset. She stitched her sampler on probably a 52 count silk gauze and with silk threads, so I'm not quite sure what her background was, but they obviously could afford precious silks to stitch her sampler with. I'm not sure whether she did that at school or not either. I have found Anne, and I think she was one of 7 children. She was the youngest of 7 children. But I need to do a little bit more research on her. I will share with you what I find. And these are the threads that Anne chose specifically for just this bit of stitching. There's 8 threads. I used 103 on 40 count maple bar Cedar River linen, and I used a reproduction fabric for the casing. I used some gold rope for the handles and a French General lining. And what I thought I would do is release this as a kit. So if you're interested in stitching this as a kit, leave a message for me down below and I will see how many kits I need to make up. So that's my release of Anne Swatridge. Also, when I took the back off Anne, I found some of her handwriting on some paperwork which she did when she was 18, so 6 years after she'd stitched her sampler. And it has her signature at the back, at the top here, Swatridge, and it has another signature down the bottom here, and she dated it 1806, which is why I can tell she was 18. And she practiced some of her handwriting, and she was practicing the verse that she's got on her sampler. So I'll read the verse to you. Virtue is the chiefest beauty of the mind, the noblest ornament of humankind. Virtue's our safeguard and our guiding star that stirs up reason when our senses err. She's got these lovely little butterflies here, and all these motifs are over 1. And the border is over 1 as well, with 4-sided stitch, and she has some lovely satin stitch down at the bottom here. She is a lovely sampler. I will produce her as a whole eventually, but I'm just doing little sections of her at the moment. So that's Anne's Swatridge. I thought I would share with you what I was hoping to start in the next couple of days. And this is a Stacy Nash, but not an animal cracker. And I have shared this with you before, and it's Pumpkin Hill Pin Keep. I've got some blue fabric, which is a legacy fabric, and I think this is blue Vermeer. Is it blue Vermeer? Dark Vermeer, something like that. I'll put the name of the bottom here, and I have all the threads now, so I was waiting on, I think it was chamomile I didn't have. So I've got all these threads ready to start my pumpkin pin keep, so I will be starting that at the end of this week. I thought I would share some progress on a works in progress which I started quite some time ago. This is my Scottish sampler, and for those of you who don't follow me, this is probably new to you. This is Janet Purves, and she stitched her sampler in 1808. Some of the thread has just gone from the bottom there, and it's a really lovely example of a green and red Scottish sampler. And this is probably a 24-25 count linen, and I think she stitched these in cottons. I have found Janet in the records, and I'll share with you my progress. I'm stitching this on a legacy 40 count, and I think this is possibly brewer's malt, maybe it's a bit light for brewer's malt. Anyway, this is the fabric, and this is my progress so far. So I've started from the top, come down, stopped here because I made an error. I went half a stitch too far this way, so I've ripped it out and put it back in here. I've done the crowns, and I just need to fill in down the bottom here. So that's my progress on my lovely Janet Purves Scottish sampler. I have a sampler in my collection that I wanted to share with you today, and this is a sampler from 1851, and it's a Welsh sampler, and her name is Anne Davies, and she was 21 when she finished this sampler. It's a little bit ragged, and I took it out of the frame because the frame is falling apart, and I got this locally from a local auction house here, and this is my sampler, not mine, Anne's sampler, and it's a very naive Adam and Eve, stitched in wool, typically Welsh, with these big flowers on the border, two little angels, a massive tree, and lots of grass work at the bottom. And unfortunately, someone has repaired this sampler and stitched where the threads have gone. She stitched the name and the dates in black on the back. They put a piece of fabric on the back and stitched through it. So a bit of a shame, but you can see here there's damage. But on the whole, it's reasonably okay. This is a lovely example of a Welsh sampler, and I will reproduce this at some stage. And this is the back, quite an open, loose gauge for the fabric. So that's my Anne Davies sampler. Of course, with the name of Anne Davies, I've not managed to find her in the record, but I'll keep searching. I just wanted to share with you a book that I managed to get over the holidays, and actually I think it was before the holidays I found it, and it's by the University of Tennessee Press and by Jennifer Kaur and Janet Hassan, and it's Tennessee Samplers. a lovely big thick book on all the samplers in Tennessee. I didn't think I would be able to get this book because obviously it's very, very heavy, and I was concerned about the shipping costs from the States, but actually I managed to get it at a reasonable shipping rate. So don't let that put you off if you are considering buying this book, because it's very worthwhile to have in your directory of sewing books, sampler books. So I'm very pleased with that book. And a couple of things I got over the Christmas period, which I just thought would be sweet to share. I found this rabbit as a decoration. I think it's from the Royal School of Needlework, and it doesn't scream Christmas, but it's very glittery and shiny. I did have it on my Christmas tree, but I'm going to leave her up in my sewing room because I think she's very, very sweet. And so that's a little ornament I found. Actually, I might put her in, although I haven't stitched her, she's quite glittery and sweet. She can have some friends in my basket. And also I got a Merchant & Mills pin magnet, very thick, so it's got a magnetic strip on the side, so picks up all your pins and needles. So that sits on my desk here. And then I had to go to London before Christmas, and I went to the V&A Museum and had a look at the exhibitions there, and went into their little shop and picked up a few of these little patches. I gave some to my daughter for Christmas, and I picked this one up for myself, and this is a little orange embroidery patch that you can put on your jacket or on your jeans, wherever you want to. And I think this is one you probably have to glue on or sew on if you're a very intricate sewer. So I picked that up, and that was quite sweet. And then another little make I made was a little strawberry, and I used some berry felt from, where did I get the felt from? Can't remember. I'll put it along the screen here. And then I cut out some green felt for the leaves, and I've just stuck a little button on there. And what I'm going to do is, with a long needle, go up through the bottom and up through the button, and then put it on a holder. So this is the start of my little strawberry collection. So that's going to sit in my basket as well. I think that's all the stitching, so sit tight and we'll move on to quilting. Moving on to my quilting. In my last video I shared with you my red and white thimble quilt and my plans to hand quilt it. I do like machine quilting, but hand quilting I don't do so often, so I wanted to improve my skills, and so I decided to pick some threads which I had in my collection, which are the wonderful hand quilting threads, and I started off with this bright red, and once I had stitched a little bit of it, I wasn't quite sure whether it worked well with this, so I swapped it out for this darker colour. And I did a little poll on my video, and thank you to all of you who entered that poll. It was really useful. So I compared the two and asked people what they thought, because these are rather darker reproduction fabrics, and the dark thread actually, I think, goes better for me. So I picked out what I had started, and then I used the tiger tape, which is a bit fiddly at first, but once it's stuck down properly on the surface, it's quite easy to use. And then oh, excuse me. And then you can see here the symmetry of the stitches. I've just done a couple at the moment. I keep being called away, even though children have gone back to college and stuff. There's always something that interrupts me when I start my hand quilting. So I've done 1, 2, 3, 4 on my 5th one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. On my 7th one here, I've done more than I thought. So that's what's going on at the moment. I have this in my lovely big large hoop, and on the back it pulls through the middle liner, but I think once you've washed that should all sort of fade away. You can just see the little white tufts of the lining. So that's my progress on my thimble quilt. Talking about hand quilting, I have another 2 quilts that I want to start hand quilting. This one is my Dutch quilt, which I finished a while ago. I finished the top a while ago. And I managed to find some nice backing fabric for it. I think I've showed this in previous videos. This is a Dutch fabric that I got from a sale in Doherty's online, and then I just need to find the right thread. So all my quilting threads, or my cottons, I keep in this box here. I have my Wonderful, some Metla, and my hand quilting ones up here. So I'm going to have to pick out a colour that will go with this. Obviously this is a multicoloured, I don't know if that would be okay, that colour, or with a darker brown, probably not so, or could I be bold and go for this bright orange? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll swap out all the different colours. I suppose cream would be a little bit boring, but safer, I suppose. There is that dark colour there. That's black, so I wouldn't use black. There is that green. So I don't really know what colour to start. Obviously I only want to do one colour. I don't suppose it really matters. But this is my next start on my hand quilting. I'm actually really enjoying the hand quilting. It's taking a little getting used to, and my fingers have been a bit sore, but that's the next one I want to start. And sorry, on my last video I was aware that I had knocked my microphone a lot, so I apologise for the noises that it created. I'm trying not to do that on this video. And then this quilt, oh gosh, I made this quilt about 5 years ago, and I've had it sitting here pinned up ready to quilt, and a couple of times I've thought, why don't I just whiz it through the machine, but I really don't want to do that. I really want to hand quilt this one. So this is a pattern that I made up myself, and it's huge. I don't actually know how big it is, but this is, I think this is a fabric line by Three Sisters, if I'm not mistaken. It's old and wrinkled because it's just been sitting around waiting for me to quilt it, and wouldn't it be quick just to run up and down in the ditch on the sewing machine. It's got these quite lovely wide edges, and I made the border out of this fabric, not the border, the binding out of this fabric. So the binding is ready to go, and on the back I managed to get a lot of this yardage, so it's got all the same backing, which is gorgeous. I can't wait to get this on my bed. And again, what colour thread should I use? So I was thinking actually perhaps cream, boring cream. On this one it might be more worthwhile. Let me see if I have one on here. Oh no, that's too white. There's a sort of pink. Oh, I've dropped that one. A sort of pink. I don't really want to use pink. Perhaps I'll just find a cream quilting thread. If you've got any ideas or tips that you could send me, I'd be very grateful. Like I say, I usually do machine quilting, and I would like to hand quilt this one. I do have a larger circular hoop, so I can get that down off my nail hook up there. So this is my quilt. So that's the second quilt that I would like to finish. I've said that for years, haven't I? And then I thought, let me just move this out of the way. I was going through and tidying up my sewing room, and I found this book, which is by Nancy Daniel, and it's Learn to Do Hand Quilting in Just One Day. And look at all my papers in there. I thought this would be nice to pull this out again, and I've obviously got very carried away, enthusiastic, and found a piece of scrap material, pinned it together, and I tell you, this has been around for such a long time, and it looks like I've actually marked this one. Where is it? Here, with some pen marks, but no actual stitching. And here's another piece here. Oh no, these are smaller pieces of squares for practice. And let me show you the one I was going to start. I think it's the one on the front. I think it was that one. Doesn't that look fantastic? Anyway, not sure if I will do it in the cream. Perhaps the look of this is the terracotta fabric colour as well. Maybe I'll see if I can find a piece of terracotta fabric. And then I came across some whole cloth cushion patterns that I had, and these are from Sandy Lush 2005. So some examples of some basic hand quilting patterns. Isn't that pretty? I won't show you the other one because that's the actual pattern, but I think these are still available. So that's on my radar at the moment, to start a little bit of hand quilting, as well as my thimble quilt and those two other quilts. And quilting is a journey, isn't it? A lot of people, you know, they like the finished product and they rush to try and get it finished, but it's actually the journey that's more satisfying. That's what I keep telling myself anyway. And then I pulled out yesterday this quilt that I need to get a move on with, and it's the Rose quilt by Jo Morton. So that's the quilt, and I think somebody is making this online as well, and I can't remember who it is. I remember watching somebody and they had started this. Anyway, I got it up to block, I think it was 21, and let me see. Oh, that's right. I think I've sort of swapped in between, so I've done a few of the easier blocks. So my next one is number 19, and these are the fabric colours for 19. And these are just a quick example of ones that I've finished already. This is a bit wobbly, I need to trim up the borders, so is this one. But these are an example of them, and I'm so pleased because in the UK now you can get hold of this faultless spray starch. They showed this ages ago on Fat Quarter Shop, and I had been using a very basic starch ironing spray, which was a bit watery and it didn't really hold the fabric, but oh my goodness, this stuff is amazing. It really starches your fabric nicely. I'll show you the back of one of mine. Absolutely marvellous how it flattens it all, keeps it all straight. So I managed to get one of these the other day, and there is another one which is a green, which I'm not quite sure the difference between the green and the blue, but I really like this, and I'm going to be starching my sampler quilt like crazy, and hopefully it washes out after you've put it through the wash a couple of times. So they're my plans with my quilting, and of course I want to start all the things, but I'm going to have to be focused this year and get a little bit more progress on the ones that I have started. A couple of other things I had from my quilting. A little while ago in the summer I finished a quilt for my son for his uni room, and I'll put in a video here of him sharing it in the garden. I had a lot of scraps from the finish of the quilt, so I made a cushion cover to go with the quilt, and I just used half square triangles, and this was the cushion cover. I backed it with the same fabric that I backed the quilt with. Did some straight machine stitching on here that you can see, and I've got the zip here at the top. I just need to sew that on and then pop it onto the cushion. So that is a rather large 50 by 50 cushion ready for the actual pad, and that can go up to university again. So that was one that I finished in the summer. A plan that I have is to start some more doll quilts, and my little hand-piece doll quilt there from the Susan Stanley Stitch in Time First Stitches series hangs pride of place on my shelf there, and I would like to start a quilt from Betsy Chuchen's book, Hope's Journey. And it's this one here, Forging a New Path, which I think is quite appropriate for the new year. And it's this half square triangle one here. And earlier in the year, I saw some patterns. I'm so sorry, I've got a frog in my throat this morning. I sourced some fabric that I thought would go nicely. So I have been collecting pinks and reds, actually pinks and greens. So there's this colour here. These are from all sorts of different places, so I couldn't tell you exactly where I got them all from. And this one here. And then this nice little pale one, which is Wyndham Fabrics Lexington. And then this one here, which is, it's the Chantilly French General by Moda. So they're the pinks. And then the greens I found was this fabulous green. Look at this. This doesn't have a selvage, so I'm not sure where I found that one, but that's fantastic. This little leaf print. This is a Marcus Fabrics print. Isn't that gorgeous? And I found this one, which is also Marcus Fabrics, and it's called Little Trellis. And the last one is this one, which is, the name's half cut off, so I'm not sure where I got that one from. So I think these will be fabulous. The brighter green will set off the darker greens, which will be lovely. And then, not sure if some of these pinks are too pale, all too pale, but in the pattern it doesn't give a really vibrant pink. So I think they'll all be fine. I think this one will hopefully pick up the rather paler ones, and if you can see on the pattern, they are quite pale colours, and then they've got one of a darker colour. So that's what I'm going to be cutting out and doing in the not too distant future. So I don't have solid plans. I just go with the flow and do things that I want to do and enjoy myself, really. I would, if I was more structured, I think I would perhaps not enjoy it so much. I'd probably get a lot more done, but I don't know. I've always been like that in my sort of sewing and stitching and quilting behaviours, but obviously not my work behaviour. There you go. There's all the colours. So that's my next lot of quilting. Okay, moving on to knitting. If you're still here, thank you so much for staying with me. What I'm wearing, this was the finish I did, the Magnolia sweater, and I put that in here. A Jameson and Smith. I absolutely love this sweater, even though it's got its own error in it. The yoke was a different shade. It's got some lovely nups here, lovely lace pattern. I did it half to elbow sleeve. So soft, I wear it all the time. I'm going to knit another one, perhaps in a different colour, and I absolutely love it. So this is a gorgeous knit. I showed you in my last video, I was knitting my daughter the Frankie sweater, and I'll put a picture here. She chose the chocolate and dark blue colourway. These are 50 gram balls, and I'm knitting on a 3.5 for the ribs and 4 centimetre needle for the stitching. I hang my balls on this lovely device, and I hang it up high on my light, and you don't get the tangles that you would do if you were doing colour work normally. I don't get the tangles. I can't seem to, when I'm doing colour work, my right hand uses English knitting and my left hand uses continental style knitting, so it's a bit tricky if the balls are just on the table. You get a lot of twists in them, but hanging them up, I find that really helpful. This is how far I've got. It's a top down stocking stitch raglan construction, and in a stripe. So you have the main colour, which is the blue, which is a 4-row, and then the chocolate brown, which is the 2-row. And I've done one sleeve, finished that, and at the end you have a bit of rib and some stocking stitch, which turns it over in a nice rolled edge, if you like that sort of thing. And then I've nearly finished the second sleeve. So I tried it on myself and I thought, oh, this is lovely and comfortable. And my daughter, bless her heart, she said, oh, Mum, you can have it and I'll borrow it from you, which means I'll never see it and she'll wear it all the time. So that made me laugh. So this is nearly ready for her. I will wash it and block it, and then I'll show you a photograph, hopefully with my daughter wearing it in the not so distant future. So I'm very pleased with this. It's turned out beautifully. The wool, is Peer Gynt by Sanders Garn, my first time using this wool, and I'm going to buy some wool for myself. I've seen a gorgeous roll collar neck square boxy shaped sweater. I'll put a photograph in here, and I'm going to do it in the green colourway. I think the pattern is shown in the green colourway, but I'll show you that. That's going to be my next knit for myself once I've got these other things out of the way. So that's my daughter's Frankie sweater. And in terms of whips that I've got going that I need to get back to, I only have, I think I've got one pair, sorry, not a pair, I have got one project on the go, which is a surprise knit, which I can't show here because I think the person watches my videos. So that's a whip. And then I've got this sweater, which is unfortunately still a whip, which it won't be when I pull my finger out. And this is Caitlin Hunter's Swag pattern. Goodness knows how long ago I started this. I have absolutely no idea, but it's done in these two colourways by Madeline Tosh, dyed yarn is a fingering weight, and it's another top-down construction, knit in the round, and sadly this is only as far as I've got. It's got a lovely lace section here, and I stopped, I think, because I had to count a lot with this lace section, and I've put in little bulb pins to keep me on track, and I don't know, I just stopped. But anyway, I love it. I really like it. The wool is really soft. I love fingering weight sweaters, so hopefully I'll get back to that soon as well. So in terms of my whips, knitting, I've got my surprise knit, that one, and my daughter's Frankie sweater. So, oh, and I've also got a the quill Shetland shawl that I've been making. So I've got 4 knitting whips on the go. I finished my 2 Sophie scarves, so I don't feel too bad about my knitting. A little while ago I made this sock bag out of a lovely canvas, and I made the inside with lots of pockets so I could put the circular needles needed for knitting socks, and a lovely little handle on it. I need to put some thread in for, not thread, you know what I mean, for the drawstring, which I've got now, so I'll do that a little later today. But that's my lovely canvas bag with a flat bottom, and in that bag I keep my next start, which will be a pair of socks, again for my son, isn't he lucky? And I use the I'm So Basic sock pattern by the School of Socks, and it's just a manila sock pattern. I use this, I measured my children's feet, the circumference and the length and everything, so I altered the stitch size to suit their feet exactly, so when they get a pair of socks they're a perfect fit for them. And the wool I'm using is, I think this is a zucchini, Scottish dyed wool. That is a mini skein that I got, and then I thought I would pair that with this gingerbread colour. So I'll do the toe and the cuff in these, and the heel, and the main colour will be this gingerbread colour. And I don't think my son has seen these colourways yet, so he doesn't watch my videos, so he won't be surprised. So that's going to be my next cast on when I've got a little bit further on the other ones. I don't like to start too many projects. She laughs. How many projects have you all got on the go? Please leave a message for me in the comments. I'd love to see all that. I think that's everything for today. If you want to go on and see some of my past videos, I have uploaded some old ones for you, because I know I have a lot more subscribers than I did from my last video. So thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoy making these videos, sharing things with you, and I'll point to my next I'll point to a playlist that I have for my knitting videos here, if you are mainly a knitter and want to see other things that I've done. And also that I've made a playlist for my quilting and my stitching. Some of my videos, they're all a mixture, so you can sort of skip through the ones you want to see and not want to see. But I thought I would upload those so there's a little bit more option on what's going on in Hedgerow Stitching. Somebody asked me why my channel name is called Hedgerow Stitching. Well, I live in the countryside in Cornwall, and I live right on the edge of the moor. It's surrounded by these old tall Cornish hedges, and when I had my little dog, we used to walk miles and miles and miles out on the moor and down the lanes, and I just thought how appropriate. I have a large garden to call my channel name Hedgerow Stitching. Unfortunately, my little dog Betty died a year ago now, I can't believe it, and we buried her in the field here and planted 2 trees in her memory. We're all forlorn and lost without her, as you can imagine, anyone who's lost a pet. And I think of her so often, every day. We have a candle in the kitchen that we light just as dusk comes in remembrance of her. And I watched back one of my old videos the other day and I heard the little pitter-patter of her feet on the floor down here, and it's just so sweet to bring back lovely memories. Anyway, without going on and on about that, I'll leave you, and I will love to see you all in the next video. And do leave me a comment, a like and a subscribe, or share my video with your friends, anyone who you think would be interested. It helps to get my channel shown to lots more people, and I'll be able to share a lot more with you in the coming weeks. Okay, goodbye everybody, and have a great stitchy week. Bye bye.